All right, welcome. We are here on the first episode of the Beyond the Surface podcast. We excited, we live, we ready, baby.
And we in here. All right.
My name is Leo, this is X.
How's it going?
And we're going to be getting into a lot of details on this show, man. Sports, culture, music, entertainment, but we want to make sure we had a lot of deeper issues, deeper points, and starting the day, we just going to jump right into it.
Yeah, so what do you have on the agenda for today, Leo?
What we got on the agenda, man, is we talking about athlete burnout. And it's a topic that we can relate to, and a lot of our friends can relate to, and frankly, a lot of athletes can relate to. So, in your opinion, what is athlete burnout to you?
To me, athlete burnout is like, it doesn't matter what level you are. After doing something for so long, eventually you're just going to tire yourself out. So like in my mind, it's like a mental state. So it could be either like you've practiced so many hours and you've done so many drills, but then you realize like, what's the actual next level for me? Or like, no matter what I'm doing, I'm not reaching the next point in my life, like what I want to reach. And that could happen a plethora of different ways for different people in general. Like, so what do you think in your mind?
In my mind, I think it's when people get to, it doesn't even have to be at the college level, like you said. When you get to a certain point, say it's like your senior year of high school or, freshman year, and you've been doing the sport your whole life, that's all you know. That's where you live, breathe, eat the sport, and you get to a certain point where you're just like, I don't really see a future. I don't want to do it no more, whether it be playing time, whether it be seeing a lack of a future beyond it. But I was more so thinking about a lot of times it happens when somebody gets to college, and we've seen that happen a plethora of times when athletes may not be getting the playing time, or they may burn out because of how hard it was. That's why, just because I can relate to. I'm not seeing. Yeah. I see the bigger picture. You can definitely burn out earlier than that.
Yeah.
But me personally, when I got to the point to where I was about to go to Pima Community College right here, I was like, dude, I'm getting up at 6 a.m. to go run up a mountain, bro. To be like 10th man on the bench. They testing your pride a little bit, and so. You got to be willing to know what you sign up for, and if when that happens, when you finally do burn out, like a lot of athletes are left like, what do I do now? Especially when you're at that college level, and you're like, what do I do?
Yeah,
in my life.
What's next? But funny story to go with that, being the 11th man on the roster and all that. So when I got recruited to Morningside, we had 22 freshmen that got signed. 22.
You had a football team, bro.
Yeah, so imagine that. So you're talking about waking up at 6 a.m. This man is running you to death, trying to get somebody to quit. And for some reason, my class had the most pride of all. Nobody wanted to quit, Leo. So of course, they're like, let's run another. Everybody's throwing up. But nobody wants to. Everybody wants to dream. Everybody wants to be on the team.
Yeah.
So,
and at that point, you like, yo, somebody drop out, bro. Like, y'all be successful. Y'all do something else, but somebody just, this basketball ain't for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there was some where I felt like that, but obviously they probably felt about me too. They probably saw me and they're like, bro, this dude's gonna quit. He's over here throwing up. He's done.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
So it's a big topic, man. And like, when you do burn out, there's studies that, people have done this for so long. It takes so much of your time and energy and attention. And it's when I was saying, what are you left to do after that? It creates a lot of issues after. There's studies out there that show the athletes who stop playing their sport, they go into depression, they go into anxiety, and with that comes other issues like addiction and things of that nature. So I think that it's something to shed light on, and I was thinking, like, what are ways that we can kind of fix this issue or focus. I think first is focusing on it, and then we go from there.
Yeah, it's partly, I feel like it sounds bad, but being realistic with yourself. Because a lot of people have that fear and anxiety of the unknown. Like, and that's basically what you're doing. So you're going from your life, like as a little kid, somebody either puts a basketball, baseball, whatever sport into your hands, and you're doing it nonstop. Like, that's your life. They're like, oh, that's Xavier or Leo, the basketball player. We know them as that. And you think that in your mind, like, this is what I am my entire life. Like, I'm a hooper.
Yeah.
And then it gets
by nature.
Yeah, and then it gets so far, and basically it's like you're fearing, like, what am I after this? Like, am I not the same person anymore?
Yeah.
Is this something different? And I feel like that happens to a lot of people. Like, I even spoke to some girl that used to be a softball player, and she had the same thing. And she was like, yeah, after I got injured, I didn't know. Like, I honestly got depressed. I was sad. Like, I can't do what I loved, like what I like to do every single day. It's not the same.
And it's one thing to miss the sport, and you go and you go to your local rec and you play, and that helps and stuff. But like when literally you're waking up and that's what your day is revolved around, like your time, even in the off season, you're working to get better at your craft.
Yeah,
you know. So, I think it needs to be a serious topic for like because I remember when I was growing up, like people would ask me what I want to do in my life, and I would tell them like I'm trying to be in the NBA, like getting buckets, like. And I think what needs to happen is we kind of hit all the points from the top down. So whether it be like coaches or parents and then the athletes themselves, like early on, like instill that idea of like you got to have a backup plan. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they always tell you.
Yeah, that's what they do.
they do tell you, but I think that at least in the athlete perspective, like from the coaches or parents and everybody's experience, it can be more driven home. Yeah. Like I was even thinking like with schools on a broader scale, like what if we were to start majoring early on in what we wanted to do in our life, like treat grade school like college. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if they had an astronomy program in fifth grade, you know what I mean? Or like
you're learning that. Yeah. Basically, I feel like kids, you can learn that right away. Whatever you want to do in life, I feel like if you enjoy it, they're gonna want to do it regardless. Like it doesn't matter what kid you're thinking of, they're gonna want to do it. But I agree to that point. Like I feel like it's also on just getting that exposure, like you're saying. Like in order for them to get the college class, it doesn't even have to be like to that extent. I feel like if you have even a family member or a friend or somebody that like takes you out to a different place that you've never been before, sometimes that opens up your mind and you're like, oh, I didn't know that I could even be a race car driver or something like
right.
Like something you never even thought of.
Yeah, and they can bring talents out of you that, like you said, you didn't even know you had. So, like, we could have some of the best
sushi chefs out here.
Facts, bro. Like, somebody who can take us to the next, I don't know, solar system or something. Or
that'd be wild. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much untapped potential is what I'm trying to get at. The next big fashion designer or something like that, and who are kind of like limiting themselves to just baseball, you know, which is great and all, like, especially if you love it, but we got to start instilling some of these ideas of passion of what you want to do early. Like, it's like this line that reminds me that J. Cole says, like, or the fact that everybody want to be Pippen, but they only got 12 slots on the Pistons. You know, it's like a lot of like I'm a victim. You know, I'm a victim. Nah, that was me, Cole. You know, like so I want to be in Chicago, but you know what I'm saying. So yeah, it's a big topic and like
I feel like that goes hand in hand too with like knowing yourself. Like I said, because you say like there's only 12 slots on the Pistons. Not everybody's going to be Jordan. Not everybody's going to be Pippen. You have to understand that, like, this might be my limit. Like, I made it to junior high. I'm on the B team. This is all I got. Like, I'm not making it to JV. I might not even make the freshman team sometimes.
Right.
But, like,
and there's that sense, too, of, like, just procrastination almost. What I could relate to is when I was in high school, and by the time I was in my senior years, when I was finally getting the playing time that was, I thought, recognizable if I were to show out by a college. So a community college recruited me or whatever, and with that opportunity, it's about opportunity too. But by that time, I really should have realized, okay, what do I really want to do? Like there's a timetable to stuff. Like it's all in I don't know, the God's timing at the end of the day. Or however you look at it.
How they're gonna put it out,
right?
For you. Yeah.
But like, I could have, if I can go back and tell myself, I'd be like, yo, you got to start getting ready. You about to go into college. You know what I'm saying? You about to play basketball, boy. What are you doing off the court? You know, because that's.
So if you could have like one conversation with yourself, what would you sit down? Like you get like 5 minutes to just tell yourself something. What would you tell yourself?
Just think about your future, bro, and like think about everything that comes with your future. Like it's all cool to be in the present moment and have fun and have a good time, but like think about what you want to do 3 years from now and how is that going to feel. Like if you do want to play basketball, like what kind of situation do you want? And if I asked myself that, I would have worked harder. Like I want to play at the. I don't want to only get to college. I want to play at that level. There's so much available information out there. I mean, the internet is it's really a miracle. I mean, so that makes me that brings me to my point of doing your research. I did some research actually, and when I was hitting that point of anxiety and depression, there was a study done by Northwestern University out of that program that a lot of athletes, after they start playing their sport, like I was saying, they go into anxiety and depression. And just to give you a little bit of background on the article itself, see if I can find that, John. But
that's like I understand like the depression, like, and no matter what, I was even talking to this about our other friend, like Jeff. I was like, bro, like he had this eye twitch thing going on, and that was just from work. And I'm like, bro, it's eating, like stress. It will get you any way it can. Like it doesn't matter. It could be anything from an eye twitch to like next thing you know, you got something wrong with your leg and you got calf cramps for 3 days straight.
No, literally, bro. Stress affects the body, bro. Like, I've been doing research on that too, and like it's like the prototype for to create. Stress can make you sick, you know. Like so, we got to make sure we're always doing our due diligence to focus on our health,
mind, body, and soul.
Got to, man. That's word, man. Preach, man. Sermon X hours. Right
sometimes it gets like that. No, I'm just kidding. But so that's another thing. Like whenever you go from being an athlete and that's your outlet, think about that. Like even though you're a kid and you don't think you have that much stress, sometimes going out there and playing, you don't think about anything else but you and making a ball in the hole.
No, exactly. I mean, it's therapeutic.
Yeah,
you get out on that court and you're not thinking about nothing. I mean, you're putting all your emotions into a game.
Yeah.
But it's more than a game to you at that point. So your emotions are amplified. So it's just a great outlet to get things out. So, moving forward, we need to start finding other things to put our passions into, other things to put our emotions into. So, that brings you to the point of anxiety within athletes. Northwestern University, once again, they said that the anxiety comes from fear and uncertainty about plans for the future or career paths. So, anxiety is typically based on future events, and when you're worried about it. Depression is usually based on the past. Stuff like that. So, by you worrying about your career excessively, if we could just nip this in the bud earlier and start focusing on it, shedding light on it, then we don't have to deal with that anxiety later on down the road. It would not. You can't make it obsolete. We're always gonna have our fears about what's next because like the unknown. But if we know earlier, then we can start to avoid that a lot better actually.
Yeah, it's true. And you have to think about yourself and like this can't be your one and only avenue though too, because like whenever I remember when I was growing up too, I would go down and like I lived in a small town, Globe, Miami, Arizona, smallest town you can think of. I'll be playing against grown men every day, and luckily I had a growth spurt. I was like 6 foot 5'11". I was killing them. It was too easy.
Man,
but
bad for them dudes.
Yeah, I was a problem. Yeah. and like some of the dudes would be like, "Oh, I'm gonna see you in the college. I'm gonna see you in the NBA and all that." But then there was still those haters that were like, "Nah, you're not gonna make it." And like as a little kid, you still want to prove those haters wrong. So there is gonna be an extent where like I know people are it's gonna be 1 year out in 1 ear, out the other, and they're gonna be like, "Nah, I'm gonna prove you wrong." But then that might even light a fire. Like you might even reach an ambitions that you didn't even think you could.
Yeah, it's
achieve,
it's motivation.
You know
at the end of the day. Like we find how many players do we see that go to the NBA and they be like, "Yo, like this is for all the like I'm doing this." Basically, they're like, people didn't believe in me and now look at me now. You know what I mean? So. Yeah. That's a big deal.
It's finding that balance too. You know what I mean? Like, because you still want to think about life outside and after. I mean, it's a tough place to be in, regardless. After you finish, I know I didn't even want to touch a basketball after I finished college. Like, I didn't touch a basketball for like 2 years. I was like, and I was cool with it. I was like, all right, I'm good on that.
Yeah.
Like that was
like,
crazy.
Man, I don't even want to look at that, bro. You see somebody playing in the park, y'all like, y'all like y'all don't go pop that ball right now. Nah, you always love the game, but it's good to like get decompressed and get away from it after a while and start focusing on other things. You know?
And it's even like it sometimes. Like it brings me back to when I was a kid, because I'd get so serious about games of like 21 or like these small little games, like I want them in. But now I feel like after the fact, because of the kind of the burnout and like being done with it, I'm like, I'm cool off of competition. Like, I'll get a little heated in the games and be like, oh yeah, it's time to play. But then at the end of the day, whenever I see people like, oh, I need to win this. This is all I got. This is my championship finals right here.
When
I'm trying to go 30 on
like, bro, when they start fouling at the end of the game, you just like you trying to get to 15 and 14-14 for like 20 more minutes, and you got bruises on you because people don't want to call the game.
I'm looking at them like it's not that deep, bro. Like I played in some heated minutes. I had people cussing, yelling at me, and we're right now in the park, bro.
We was up in our rec league, bro, and I remember dudes was arguing with the refs. Dudes was talking hella, bro, and it was just like I remember you laughing and just being like, "It's not that big of a deal," you know what I'm saying? So
it's nice.
Like to a degree, if we had that kind of, I think it wouldn't be a bad thing if we had that kind of mindset growing up. Like if we didn't treat it with such a like intensity and I mean it's good to be passionate about it, but like such a fire about it, because it would allow us to focus on other things. Not that you're not passionate about it, you want to win that game, but you're not just like you're not so narrow focused, and that's why you're able to ease up a little bit.
That's funny. That just reminded me of that.
And then they talk about Northwestern talks about depression and how that happens, like you were saying earlier, like a loss of identity, and motivation and feelings of purposelessness. So that loss of identity is a big thing, because I mean, how many times or how much time is spent literally on the court or on the field or when you're growing up? Like that's literally your time and energy and attention. Like they say, like your personality is how you think, how you feel, and how you act. So like your personality, that you're thinking basketball, you're feeling the emotions of basketball, you're behaving in a manner that's revolved around basketball. You know what I'm saying? That's you're a player, you're a basketball player. You know what I'm saying? So like when you don't put that energy into something else, you become limited. You know, so like, that depression can kind of catch up to a person at the end of the day, because if you don't know who you are, then where are you going in this life?
You just basically think like, well, I'm cool whenever I'm drinking this, or I'm cool whenever I'm taking this, or like when I'm doing something else. Like it kind of takes your mind off it, but only for a limited amount of time. Like that's how I've seen like some of my friends I know started like drinking heavy, like whenever they knew they weren't going to be on the team, or like they didn't have another outlet. Like it's sad, but it happens.
That leads to this leads to down a dark road, and it's like, I'm not saying that parents need to go out there and watch their son's high school basketball game and then be like, there's a dark world under this, behind all of this, you know what I'm saying? But like, just know what, where it can go if they're just so narrowly focused on it, you know. So
no, I'm gonna be on their head.
I'm gonna be like,
this is it. This is all of this.
This is all y'all got. All y'all got is hoops, man. Nah, man, but it's just important that we recognize other avenues. So try to hit that point early and often, to be honest.
Yeah, as early as you can. At least like get you exposure to other things, other worlds, anything you can think of, because you never know. You might find a friend, you might find a hobby, and you might find a career. Who knows?
It's just crazy to think, bro. Like like you were saying, like your friend. His parents probably never would have imagined that when, he's out there on that court or whatever, he's doing his thing, that when he finally stops, it can lead to substance abuse.
Yeah.
It doesn't ring a bell.
It's sad because like his brother was on our team too, and his brother had D1 offers to be like lineman. But he decided to go where he's like, oh, my brother's going to school here. Our school was like a championship school in D2. So he's like, yeah, I'm going to go here and win his championship. He played his freshman year, and then after that, he didn't play. And that's all I saw him down there, too, was both of them just drinking like every single day. Like covered, bro, and nothing but alcohol all day. And I'm like, bro, like this can't be good for your mental health. Like, and I understand, like, I had some heart-to-hearts with him, but like nothing I would do.
To all the people out there that struggle with substance abuse, and especially athletes, we feel for y'all, and it's recognized. So but excuse me, moving on to grief, they talk about loss of activity and purpose, structure, routines, and teammate support. It's basically kind of hitting some of the points that we already hit. It addresses how your routine kind of gets thrown off. You're living the same routine every single day, and all of a sudden,
all this free time.
What do I do, man? Like play 2K, more basketball. You know what I'm saying? So like, there comes that sense of like complacency almost. When you're done. Like, oh, I put in all this work already. I'm just gonna go into a normal job and work my 9 to 5. And pay my bills. But yeah, man, basically we just want to see there be a change in the athletics world about looking towards your future more so, and not just focusing on just your sport. Give it everything you got, but also try to give something else just as much, and see where that takes you. Focus on your future.
Yeah, always have something in the back burner, just for something for you to think about. You could have a bunch of different pots in the stove, and who knows what's gonna slap whenever you eat it. Smack? Is it smack or slap?
Slap. That's all I know. That was a bar, man. That food gonna be ready, hot and ready if you put that in the oven. You put the right settings on that thing, man. But we appreciate y'all tuning into the first podcast of Beyond the Surface. Stay tuned for more. We're gonna be on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. So tune in, y'all. More episodes coming up soon.
Gmail, C-mail, all the mail. We gonna be out there. Just remember that.
Yeah. Mic drop. Peace.